again, this is the last lecture in Unit 1, Compiler Design. So what is the intermediate code generation? Whenever we are going to convert high-level language into the machine language, because the compiler, it is nothing but a system software that converts high-level language into the machine language, or we can say the low-level language. So the computer can understand only the 0101 like that. That is the low-level language, or we can say that machine language. So there are a lot of steps. It is not just like, because whenever you are doing the programming, then just you click only the compile button and the whole program get compiled. But there are several steps which a compiler, or we can say a system software, that uses to convert high level language into the machine language. So what is the intermediate code generation? In just continuation of the preceding one lectures. In this case, we are not going to convert high level language into the machine language, but there is a intermediate code we generate so that at the end our program get converts into the low level language. So there are a lot of benefits for using the intermediate language, that is called the intermediate code generation. What is that? Just we are going to consider. A compiler for different machine can be created by attaching backend for the new machine to an existing front end. So a compiler for the different machines can be created easily, but for creating we use some intermediate code generating softwares, a machine independent code optimizer, and after generation of the intermediate code we again use a independent code optimizer. So what is the role of the intermediate code optimizer? It optimizes a number of, we can say, identifiers, temporary variables, and there are several loops which are going to repeat again and again. Also, there are number of redundant expressions during writing of the program. Then code optimizer optimizes those codes, reduce or removes the redundancy from the program, and ultimately after optimization it reduces the requirement of the memory. So here we concentrate over the reduction of the requirement of the memory, because we want to develop or implement such type of compiler that must be efficient. So one of the form to represent the intermediate code, how we are going to develop the intermediate code. So how we can represent the intermediate code? For that we use 3 address code. So 3 address code is the representation for the intermediate code. And 3 address code, it is nothing but like the assembly language, because you have already idea about the assembly language and you have already used in your microprocessor lab. These are the mnemonics, these are the special symbols which are used as a commands. So during writing the program, how you will write the intermediate code just in the form of the mnemonics. So 3 address code is the representation used for the intermediate code. And now these mnemonics provides memory location for each address code. So the main important properties are each 3 address code inspection has at most one operator. So 3 address code, whenever we are going to represent the intermediate code in the form of the 3 address code, then we use one operator in addition to the assignment. So it is compulsory we use the assignment operator, but we also use one operator beside the assignment operator. The compiler must generate a temporary name. So in case of the intermediate code generation, we also use the temporary variables that hold the value of the computed by each instruction. So each instructions compute some value, and for that we will use temporary name, or we can say the temporary variable. Some 3 address instructions may have fewer than 3 operands. So there are number of instructions we use during writing our program. Whenever we are converting our program into the intermediate code by using 3 address code, then there are number of instructions, or we can say the expressions, in which we can use fewer than 3 operands. Just we are considering the example here. Temp1 is equal to int2 real 60. Now just come to the line number 5. So this is the expression. Main expression is position equal to initial plus rate into 60. So this is the main expression. So for this expression, just we are going to write the intermediate code. So just here we are considering temp1 is equal to int2 real 60. So here this is the number, maybe integer or real. Okay, so this number int2 real we are going to store in temp1. This is the temporary variable, you can say, or we can say the temporary register. So in that register, just we are going to hold this value, or we are going to store this value. Again come the same expression, position is equal to initial plus rate into 60, temp2 id3 into temp1. So here just we are converting position in id1, yani ki position, this is identifier 1, initial again identifier 2, and then rate again identifier 3. Then how we are going to convert? Just we are considering a number of temporary variable here, temp1, temp2, temp3, and converting this expression in the form of like this, id1 is equal to temp3. Just you can see, and this expression here, and it is going to convert finally id1 is equal to temp3. So here you can see temp1, this is initial integer to real 60, then temp to id3. Here is id3. id3 is what? Rate into 60. Now you come again here. Temp2 is equal to id3 into temp1. Temp1 is the this 60. So just we are writing here temp1 into 60, id3 into this. Again come to here temp3, another temporary variable or temporary register, and then we can write here id2. id2, what is id2? Initial. So initial plus temp2, and temp2 is this value. So again we are going to put this value here. So temp3 is equal to id2 plus temp2. Then id1 is equal to temp31. Here just come. Finally, id1 means position. id1 is equal to temp3. Means just we are removing such type of identifier and putting here, assigning here. Then id1 is equal to temp3. So this is the final one. So this is called the intermediate code generation. So intermediate code, just here we are going to reduce our expression, and here we are going to try to reduce the number of variables. So in final case, memory requirement will be reduced. So here memory requirement will be reduced, and this is called the efficient code. So the speed of the compiler will enhance. So in this case, if we will use the intermediate code, then we are going to reduce the number of variables, and ultimately we will get, or we can develop the efficient compiler. So the speed of this compiler may enhance, and we are going to reduce here the memory requirement. So after that, we will apply the code optimization. That is, first we will use the intermediate code generation, and after that we will use the code optimization. So in this case, again we will try. First we are going to reduce the number of variables. We will generate the intermediate code, and after that we will try to reduce the code with the help of the code optimization. So what is the code optimization function? The code optimization phase attempts to improve the intermediate code. First, we are simply generating the intermediate code. We are not going to reduce anything, just we are developing the intermediate code. And in case of the code optimization, we will try to remove the redundant expression as well as the number of variables, extra variables, and other things. Okay, maybe we can reduce the more number of loops, because during writing the program we will never think regarding the reduction of the number of lines. So we apply the code optimization. In case of the code optimization, our target is to reduce the number of lines. And how we can reduce the number of lines of the program? Just by removing or deleting the redundant expressions. So how we are going to reduce the number of redundant expression? Just by considering the temporary variable, and ultimately we can reduce the memory requirement for that. So similarly here we are considering the same thing, code optimization we are doing. So here we are reducing the memory requirement of the program. So code generation, how we are doing here, the final phase of the compiler is the generation of the target. Okay, because at the end we will get the target code, or we are going to display the result. So the final phase is called the generation of the target. So how we are going to generate this target code? In this case, we are going to write the mnemonics. So these mnemonics, like same as in the 8085 instructions, or we can say assembly codes. So in case of the assembly codes, you use move id3 like comma r1. So we are going to store the id3 into the r1 here. Similarly, the constant to r2, and then id2 to r1, and r2 comma r1 movef. Here we are using movef. Other than it is similar to that the assembly language instructions, but here in case of assembly language we will use move only, but here move f like that. So r2 comma r1 means just we are storing the contents of r1 to r2 here. In this case, just we are storing this into this, that is the contents of r1 to r2. Similarly, this identifier is going to into the temporary register r1. So these are the assembly codes, like the assembly code instructions. So these instructions are used for the code generation, or then we can apply the code optimization techniques. So what is the typical compiler structure? what is the conventional compiler? So conventional compiler, in this case we use only two pass organization. So it is one which uses the classical two pass organization. The details of passes are given below here. So in case of the conventional compiler or the common compiler, we use only two passes. Okay, so pass one, what we are doing the activities in pass one: lexical analysis, syntax analysis, semantics analysis, means intermediate code generation. Here we will do, and after that program listing and error indication, or we can say error detection. So in pass one, what type of activities we are doing? We are doing lexical analysis, syntax analysis, semantic analysis, means intermediate code generation, and then program listing, and last one is the error indication or error detection. Okay, so such type of activities will be done in pass one. In pass two, memory allocation and target code generation, because whatever we are doing, there is a need arise to store that data, and for that we will allocate the memory, and ultimately at the final there is a need for the target code generation, because otherwise we cannot see the display, we cannot see the output, what the final output we will get. So there are two passes, and such type of activities we will do just for converting high level language into the machine language. Now you can see, okay, in simple compiler, just we are going to convert everything into one pass. Okay, but in conventional compiler we will use two passes. Here we are going to manage our work in pass one, pass two. Okay, so that just we are reducing the load of the main compiler. So another type of compiler are called the compiler for permissive language. And what is the permissive language? In case of the permissive language, here declaration we can put anywhere during writing the program. We will do the declaration, then those declaration we can put anywhere in the program. So such type of compiler are called the compiler for the permissive language. So by permissive we mean a language that allows declaration to be placed anywhere in the program. Just we are putting anywhere in the program. Okay, there is no any hierarchy to declare the various type of identifiers, or we can say variables. So we can put anywhere. In such cases, syntax and semantic analysis to wait the completion of at least one full scan. So in this case, the compiler first scan whole the program, whole the source program. What is the source program? Whatever you are writing on your screen. Okay, just you are using the high level language. So it is the program that was written by the programmer on the screen, that is called the source program. Okay, so in this case the compiler will do the full scanning of your source program, because the compiler will manage each and every functions into number of passes. Okay, so such type of compiler is called the compiler for the permissive language. There is a little bit difference. Here we are declaring, we are doing the declaration of the number of variables, identifier, everything, and we can place anywhere in the program. Okay, we are not using any hierarchy to put all the variables or the identifier during writing the program. So such type of is called the compiler for permissive language, because it allows to put the variables anywhere. Now how this type of compiler will manage the work. So in pass 1, what the compiler is doing, it is managing lexical analysis and processing of declarative statements, because just you are putting all the identifier variables anywhere in the program, then the compiler will do the scanning of the complete program, and then it will manage the work like this. So in pass 1, lexical analysis and processing of declarative statements. Then in pass 2, syntax and semantic analysis, memory allocation, intermediate code generation, program testing and error indication, and pass 3 is for target code generation only. So what is the lexical analysis? You have little bit idea for the lexical analysis. Similarly, you are also aware by the syntax and semantic analysis, memory allocation, intermediate code generation, program testing and error indication, and then target code generation. So what is the lexical analysis? Just you are going to do the scanning of the program, scanning of the source program. In this case, just the compiler divides your program into number of lexes, means into number of tokens. Okay, you are already aware by the number of tokens. What are these? So in lexical analysis, just we are going to scan our program and dividing our program into number of expression, into number of lexes, into number of tokens. Okay, and after that, syntax analysis, and then we will do the semantic analysis. What is the syntax analysis? Any idea about the syntax analysis? Just in this case, we will develop the parse tree. Okay, how we will do the syntax analysis? In this case, in the above case, we have already break our program into number of tokens, and after that, in case of pass 2, during the syntax analysis, we will develop the parse tree. If we are getting the single tree for the expression, then it is okay. We are following the right grammar. Otherwise, if we are getting more than one syntax tree, it means there is some ambiguity. We are not following proper rules and regulation of the grammar of that particular language. Then we will get the syntax error in our program. Okay, so during syntax analysis, you are just developing the syntax tree. And then semantic analysis. In semantic analysis, here you are checking your logic during writing the program. Okay, here we will do the type checking, whether we are writing our program in the right manner or not. So in this case, we will check our logic of the program, and then after that we will allocate the memory. We will save our program into the memory. Okay, in the table, just we have the table in case of the compiler. So we will save our program in the symbol table, that is called the symbol table. So we can say just we are going to provide the memory or allocating the memory. After that, we will apply the intermediate code generation. So during the intermediate code generation, we will use the 3 address code representation. So 3 address code representation, we will divide our program, we will write our program in the form of the mnemonics. Okay, so after that, the program testing and error indication. And finally, we will develop the target code generation so that we can run our program. After execution of the program, we can display the result easily and we can easily understand the result. So this is called the target code generation. Now, what is the single pass compiler? So single pass compiler, if everything is going in one pass, means there is no break into number of passes. In the preceding case, you have already seen that just the compiler is managing the work after breaking the load into number of passes, pass 1, pass 2, pass 3, maybe pass 4, maybe pass 5, and so on, maybe pass 6, like that. Okay, so in this case, in case of single pass compiler, just we are doing each and every work into single pass. So there is no any breakup into passes. All the analysis and synthesis function go hand in hand. Everything is going hand in hand. The main advantage of such type of compiler is the speed is very high, and we can say that 10 to 14 times faster than their conventional compilers. Okay, so if your compiler is working in the single pass, everything it will do in one pass, then the speed will be very high, 10 to 14 times. And if the compiler will manage the work into number of passes, pass 1, pass 2, pass 3, pass 4, pass 5, pass 6, then there is a decrement in the speed. So the speed will reduce. Now, what is the interpreter? The work of the uh, interpreter is same like the compiler, but here the interpreter converts your program line by line. Okay, so this is more efficient because in this case to debug your program is easy, but in case of the compiler it is a little bit more complex to debug the program, even though you can do the debugging easily, but in case of interpreter it is easy to debug the program with, because it gives the right line number so that you can debug your program easily. Okay, so these are also the types of translators. Again, class of language processor which translates a source program prior to its execution. Interpreter is a language processor, again, because it is again converting your source program into the machine language program. Okay, the work is same like the compiler. So the interpreter identifies, fetches the high level language statement, performs again the same thing, syntax and semantic analysis. Okay, checks on it, and finally execute the program. Okay, and will do the same thing, semantic analysis and so on. So the working is approximate same, but it is more efficient because it provides you good quality. Advantages of the interpreter. What are the different advantages? Overhead of program translation can be eliminated. Okay, so in this case there is no more load. It converts the program line by line, so not more overhead over that. Here the high level statements require lesser memory space than their equivalent target code, because interpretation execution of the program may be possible with a smaller memory size, in spite of the fact that interpreter would also have to exist in memory. So best suited in the situation where multiple execution of a program is required. So we still prefer the interpreter over the compiler. There are several companies which are dedicated to the interpreter. Still such type of companies using the interpreter instead of the compiler due to the good quality to debug the program here. So disadvantages of that: require analysis of the source statement during interpretation. Now again there is a need of the analysis here. Inefficient statement loops may have to be analyzed many times over. In this case, there is the existence of the inefficient statement loops. But in case of compiler, just we remove that. We remove the redundancy. In this case, slow execution speed because the program is converting line by line. So ultimately, we will get the slow execution speed. So there are number of advantages of the compiler over the interpreter. So mostly nowadays we are using only the compiler for converting high level language into the machine language. Also, the compiler has very high speed. So that's why nowadays we are using mostly the compilers. Now these are the categories. What is the incremental compiler? What is the incremental compiler? These are designed to combine the main advantages of interpreters and compilers. So in this case, we optimize the system here. We consider the advantages of the interpreter, we consider the advantages of compilers, and then we combine both. Okay, here we combine the advantages of interpreter as well as the compilers. So with the help of the advantages of both interpreter and compilers, we implement another compiler that is called the incremental compiler. Okay. What is the optimizing compiler? Optimizing compiler, it produces the efficient target code. So again, another type of compiler that is called the optimizing compiler. Here we optimizes with the help of the code optimizer. Okay, whenever we write our program, then we use the procedure is same. Again, we will do the same procedure, but here we use the code optimizer. So this optimizes all the codes and then it gives a efficient target code compiler. So this requires additional analysis of the program structure. Okay, so in this case, we again remove the repetitive work, that is the redundancy, invariant code, eliminating redundant expressions, evaluations. So then this reduces the load of the compiler and optimizes the compiler, optimizes the program. So this is called the optimizing compiler. Just we are here eliminating the redundant expressions, evaluations, which were written by the programmer. Okay, during writing the program, we will do such type of mistakes. We never think and we remove one by one. So in this case, the compiler optimizes such type of redundancy and gives a new name that is called the optimizing compiler. So ultimately, it is faster. Optimizing compiler is faster. So this is called the pass structure. So pass 1, again we will do the lexical and syntax analysis, generation of intermediate code. Pass 2, 3, 4, we will do common or equivalence statement processing, changing the form of intermediate program, memory allocation. Pass 5, code optimization. Pass 6, target code generation. So again you can see here just we are going to divide this compiler into several number of passes. Okay, to enhance the efficiency so that we can get the quality wise conversion. So here the compiler managing the work into number of passes. Okay, ultimately it will take the more time as compared to other compilers, but here we will get more efficient code. So that was the pass structure. What is the bootstrapping? So it is the concept of obtaining a compiler for a language by using compiler for less powerful version of the same language, that is the subset. Now you have the idea about to develop the new software, new Windows, new system softwares. How we can develop the new software? Just we are using the same code and adding more number of functions, more number of program lines, and we are making our program more user friendly. Okay, just I am talking about the system software like the Windows operating system. So we use the old version of the same operating system and we can develop the new one. So similarly here, what is the bootstrapping? Just we are using the less powerful version of same language, that is called the subset, and just we are enhancing or we are adding here more number of functions and making. So what is the bootstrapping? Just we are implementing a new software with the help of the old version. So how we can use the old one? Just by adding some more functions, okay, making more user friendly. That is called the bootstrapping. So in context of the compiler, we can say that it is a concept only for obtaining a compiler for a language by using a compiler for less powerful version of the same language, that is the subset. So for that, just we are going to consider the case of compiler for language L being implemented the assembly language of machine A. Okay, we are considering here example C suffix A and it is showing L to A here. So this is the way to write. What is this A? Okay, so this A is this. A compiler written in language A. Okay, so in suffix C is indicating a compiler written in language A. So in suffix, just you are watching here, A means it is indicating this compiler was written in language A. Okay, what is doing this compiler? Converting L to A, which converts which converts a language L into program written in A. So in the suffix, just you are watching here, this is the compiler's own language in which it was written and then converting L to A. Okay, so this is converting level language to low level language. And then again a compiler for L star, a subset of L. L star, what is this? This is a subset of L, that is, this is a language. Okay, this is a language, can be more easily written in this form. Now just you come here, C A L star to A. Now in the suffix A. So the language of this compiler is A. Now it is doing the work converting high level language, that is L star. It is a high level language converting to A into the low level language. So we can say like this is a compiler written in language which converts a program written in L star into a program written in A. Okay, so this is own language of compiler and conversion is going into this L star to A. So this is the nomenclature to write the compiler and how it is going to convert. Then we will write like in this fashion. Okay, so this is the way. Now compiler for language L star, the subset of L. Okay, the subset of L, C, L star. So this is the language of L star here the language of this compiler converting L to A. So how the bootstrapping will take place, I will tell you in the next lecture, okay? Because your time is going, so just I am stopping here